A lot of people are hesitant to negotiate, even in a business setting. Now, I believe it's because people are not comfortable. They just haven't done it a lot. However, I'd like to dispel that notion. I think people are used to negotiating every day. The trouble is whenever we go ahead and we start including dollars or money in these scenarios, people get very nervous and they start going back to transactional. So what I'd like to do today is give you an example of a story that I think might be able to help get past this idea that negotiation can be difficult. There is a process to it, and I'd like to go ahead and share with you today the story of the lemon in the restaurant. Now, you might have heard this example before, but if you'll bear with me, I'd like to even expand upon it past the normal story, and I think it might be helpful for you. So one day in a restaurant, there was a bartender and there was a chef, and each went to go get a lemon for a recipe. And when they arrived there, each tried to grab the lemon at the same time. So of course, they needed to discuss it. And they asked each other why they needed it. They each said, the bartender said, I have a signature drink that I'd like to be able to test out. The chef said, well, I have a dessert that I'm looking to test out. And they were at a stalemate. And so, of course, what they did is they came up to the reasonable conclusion of, let's go ahead and split this last lemon. And in doing so, each of them took their halves and they went back to their areas and they started working with them. Now, what happened is, of course, when the actual chef started to work with his lemon, he went ahead and he started working on the rind. He needed the zest for his recipe. Whereas for the bartender, they went ahead and they took their lemon back to their bar, and they took the lemon and they wanted to go ahead and just squeeze the juice out of the lemon for their cocktail. Now again, keep in mind, each leaving the kitchen both determined that the scenario was fair, and they were probably not happy because each of them wanted the whole lemon. But again, in the interest of fairness, they wanted to go ahead and be able to come up with the best solution. Now, from what you've seen here, I'm willing to bet you already guess, was there a better solution? There probably was. Now, if the actual discussion had occurred and gone a little bit deeper, they would have asked each other exactly what it is that they needed. Because we're talking about an entire lemon. We've got the zest, we've got the rind, we've got seeds, we've got juice, we even have pulp. If they had begun, or I should say continued the conversation of exactly what is it that you need for this lemon. And the bartender probably would have said, listen, I need to go ahead and squeeze it, get the juice out so that I can utilize it in my drink. The chef would have said, well, that's fantastic because all I'm after is the rind. I need to zest the outer edge so that it'll give a little bit of zing to my dessert. The only problem is that the chef would say, listen, when you go ahead and you squeeze that lemon out, you're going to end up with a rind that's going to be very difficult for me to use. Now, the appropriate negotiation would have been the chef saying, hey, I'd like to go ahead and zest the entire lemon, and that way when I'm finished, you'll have a lemon that you can squeeze. You'll end up with more juice because of it. I just need it first, you need it second, and that would be a great negotiation. Now, let's say they go ahead and their signature cocktail and their dessert turn out to be a winner. Well, the next day there's going to be an order of more lemons coming in. And of course, they're both going to want to use them. Now, they've already negotiated out the first actual interaction between the two of them. In B2B sales, oftentimes businesses working together, there's usually ongoing negotiations, and this is where the story can be expanded upon. So now they want to come back together and they say, listen, there's going to be an order of lemons that are coming in tomorrow. There's no need for us to order extra ones. I, the bartender, am going to need to go ahead this afternoon and squeeze all of the lemons out so that I can go ahead and make all of these drinks. Whereas the chef says, well, I won't be coming in till tomorrow to go ahead and zest those lemons. So you'll end up squeezing them before I even get a chance. This, again, is where the negotiation can come in. Because how important is it to the bartender to be able to go ahead and have access to those lemons sooner? So what the bartender proposes is, listen, it's worth it to me to go ahead and take some time to zest these lemons for you. I'll wrap them up, put them in the fridge. You won't even have to do that work. And therefore, I get the actual lemon juice that I need sooner rather than having to wait for you to do what you need to do. So keep in mind, in business, there's always negotiations that can occur, and it's not always about price. As you can see here, we never discuss the value or the cost of the lemons themselves. But in having working relationships, on ongoing businesses working together, oftentimes there's multiple negotiations. And if you don't start out in the very beginning negotiating and learning more about what the other needs and what's important to them, then further down the line, it becomes even more difficult. Well, I hope that you've enjoyed this video today. I plan on making more similar to this. Please feel free to let me know if you like this, if you found it helpful. If you have any questions, happy to go ahead and comment. You have a great day, and thanks a lot.